Welcome back to West Palm Beach, Florida. We're speaking with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. As you look at the battle lines, they have not moved that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the same map.
Yeah. They don't have successful things. We have to understand. The number of their soldiers is decreasing because before this year, the number was increasing. They mobilized each month 43,000 people, signed contracts, and this year, first time, the number of mobilized people and the number of losses the same. So this year, 2025, the first time when the number of their army stopped increasing. So we think that the 2026, God bless, we will stop the war. Otherwise, Putin will decide to mobilize people. So now he has contracts. Because his nation doesn't respect mobilization, he will have problems with his society, if it's understandable. Yeah. That's why he doesn't want to make mobilization. He can, but I'm sure that he doesn't want. That's why I think that now we and Russians, in the situation when United States can move the situation to the peace quicker.
Put pressure on Putin.
It's true.
And the Europeans want to see that too?
Yes.
Does President Trump want to see that?
I hope so.
You've also created your own industry as far as drones and that military technology.
This is great. What can I say? Openly, this is great thing what we have now. More than hundreds of companies. Really, it's not about dozens. It's about hundreds of companies. And this industry is very United States now very interested in this industry. And of course, we want to share knowledge with our strategic partners, and we want to have co-production, big co-production with American military tech. So I think this has huge future.
There is still concern in the U.S. in a number of quarters about corruption, about money going in. You know, you had in recent days, Ukraine's anti-corruption agency raided government offices and parliament tied to this $100 million kickback scheme involving members tied to you. There were 5 suspects, including your ally, Timur Mindich, as well as your justice minister, who were charged last month with money laundering. And then you had anti-corruption officers raid the home of your former chief of staff, Andriy Yermak. He has not been charged, but he did resign. This is happening. So what do you say to people about the concern about corruption inside Ukraine today?
Look, I'm focusing on the war. What about anti-corruption agencies? They do what they have to do. They have all their independence. Nobody is stopping there. They are checking what they have to do, and we are not stopping. It doesn't matter what person, close or not, we know that or not, or we don't. They have to do their work. This is war. This is democracy the same way. Yes, and we have to respect it, of course.
But you're concerned about it?
Concerned? No, of course. Look, of course, a lot of concerns. Because, the problem is, Brad, that from the very beginning of the war, all the institutions, they didn't work. And a lot of steps governmental institutions did, like during the war. I don't know if you understand. I think you understand. Yeah. During the war, it's not according to the rules and etc. That's why, of course.
We talked about that on the front lines. We talked about this very thing.
Yeah, but this is the life.
Eventually, this war will end. You will leave office.
Yeah.
What do you think you'll do next?
I don't know. Really, I don't know. Have a rest? I want to have a rest.
With your family?
Yes, I want very much. Yeah, really, I want this.
And so for someone in the U.S. looking at this, saying, this has gone on so long, what do you tell them?
I agree with you that people are tired. And of course people are tired. I think that nobody knew that it will be so long. Russians didn't know. Really? Russians didn't know.
They thought it would be over in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and of course, I remember after 20 or 30 days of the war, I remember we just spoke, I remember we spoke that, 30 days, it's so long, but we have to stay, and we will stay. Then we spoke after 1 year, and I saw that after 1 year that all of us were tired. Totally, but we couldn't, як дозволити собі. Yeah, and we couldn't allow ourselves to be tired. That's why we lived and fought the second year. I think that now we have a strong will from the United States to finish this war and more pressure on Putin. We're asking only pressure on Putin because my feeling is that the steps of President Trump, like sanctions and economical step, that he shows that he's ready for very strong steps. He's doing them, and he's ready. He's such a person. And that's why I think this is a possibility to finish this war. Because Putin I think he doesn't understand what can be tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping, I don't know. I'm sharing what I think. That's why maybe this is a chance.
Last thing, if you were to talk directly to Vladimir Putin right now, knowing what you know after meeting with President Trump, you're talking directly to Vladimir Putin, what would you say to him?
I think this is important. That's why I said to President Trump, I think that the question of territory, the question of reasons of this war, why he occupied us, and I think it was useful to speak, not because I don't want to speak with him. He's enemy for me. But I think that it's important to speak only for one thing. We have to understand we don't want the sword war from Russia. I don't trust him, and I will not. And he also doesn't trust me. It's understandable. But this is the problem that, my feeling that his goal was occupation of all our territory, of all our country. And I really want to hear and to see that he will not come again.
Mr. President, we appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.